It's all good, Leon? Ready to go? As we pull cords and everything from all over the place. Okay, good. Good afternoon. I know you're all excited to be here. This can't be more than your second or third class of the semester. Maybe it's your first. How many is the first class this semester right now? Everyone's had a class? So what has been your favorite class so far? Correct, this one. This one. And it will continue to be your favorite class. Unless you are greatly mistaken, you should be in 212A, Computational Tools, MATLAB, a nice little fun 5-week mini course where we get to do your favorite thing, work with MATLAB. And everything should be posted on Blackboard, Canvas. So I call your attention at first to this information sheet where everything is available for you to look at. I'm Dr. Bashford. With me are some TAs. Leon is here running the sound. I saw Kevin's back there. Julie's there. Everyone's here. So Leon's here. Kevin's back there. Julia's back there. They are the ones to whom you can go and ask any kind of question you want. They are super geniuses in MATLAB, as you will be when you're done with this 5 weeks. We are meeting today from 4 to 4:50. And Wednesdays it says 4 to 6:50. Will we really be here till 6:50? No, I won't be. We'll probably talk for about an hour and a half, and then you are free to stay behind and work on assignments that we might have. So that's how that normally works. Now, should you run out and call your buddies and say, everything's good for Wednesday night, I'll be done at 5:30? No, you don't know. Some days we might go longer. Reserve the time for 4 to 6:50. That's for this class. If you need to see me, please get in touch with me or use my plan. I'm very happy to see you. Would love to see you. Please don't take the fact that I can't have set office hours because I'm constantly going back and forth to hospitals and so forth for research. Don't take that as I don't want to see you. I do want to see you. Contact me if you like. There's no textbook. There, I just saved you or your parents $250. You are required to put MATLAB on your computer, which is also for free. You can look at the course description. It will make more sense when we're all done, at which point we really wouldn't have needed to read it to you anyway. But maybe we'll do that just for fun. Attendance in class section is required. Why is it required? Well, you don't have to come. I will have things like quizzes at the beginning of classes. I won't necessarily announce those. So it kind of comes up at my whim. So when I want to have a quiz, we have a quiz. They're short, they're MATLAB based, and but they are given at the beginning of class. If we get 100 subscribers to the YouTube channel, which is brand new, then you can have a better link. Until then, you have to type in that long, crazy link. But this class is streamed live to the online section. Hi, online section. Your thing is slightly different. Your thing says online section. Everything else is the same. You're highly encouraged to bring laptop with MATLAB. You won't always need it. It might help you follow along. The grade weighting and grade scale is there for you to look at. Any questions on this first page? You can look at the course objectives, what this course is not, and then the required academic integrity, service for students with disabilities, and emergency response. Please look that over and let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Questions? Okay. How many of you despise MATLAB with all your heart? Okay, lots of liars and some truth tellers, good. Our job is to take that away, okay? Job is to take that away. This short 5-week section is about showing you how MATLAB can be your friend. You won't always think it will be, but it should be. MATLAB is not, it's not really a programming language. So let me dispel some. First slide, we're dispelling myths. It's not really a programming language. It's not really an analytical solver. All these things it can sort of do, but this is not what it was designed to do. Okay. It's not really a data acquisition system, and it's not really intended for heavy-duty CAD or SolidWorks or that kind of modeling. All these things it can do, but this is not the kind of thing you should be thinking about, at least for our class. For our class, you want to think of MATLAB as being a tool, not a programming language, not a not something you hate eventually, but as a tool. If you like, think of it as an engineering calculator. You know how you buy calculators and bring them to class and stuff like that, I think. You still use a TI calculator? Is that like what you do? Yeah, okay. You should throw that thing away and buy a Hewlett-Packard. But until then, go ahead and use your TA. Think of MATLAB as being a very fancy engineering calculator. It's a tool. It's not a program. Okay? What is it? It's highly powerful, flexible means of data analysis. It doesn't really matter what branch of engineering you're in. It doesn't really matter what you're going to do after undergraduate. It doesn't even really matter if you're pre-health. If you think, well, I'm going to be a doctor, so I don't really care. I won't need it ever again. Let me encourage you to think of quantitative tasks with data as being fundamental to just about whatever you're going to do after college. And in that case, MATLAB is a very, very good thing to do. MATLAB is very good at taking data that you've collected in some way and doing something with it. That's as abstract as I can get, but that's really what it is all about. You may have been told otherwise. I am here to correct those nasty rumors that may have been spread. Why has MATLAB become so popular? You're saying, well, I don't think it's popular. I don't like it at all. It is really used heavily in industry. Some of you will not believe me until you get out there. And it's not for any one particular engineering discipline. Again, it's just heavily used in industry, in the next stage, if you go to graduate school. Why is this? Well, it's not like a programming language in that you don't need a compiler. It can run on anything. There's many predefined functions to make life easier. There's built-in graphical visualization, graphs, and so forth. Many of you know, by the way, many of you know, I'm not ignorant to the fact that most of you have taken 112, I think it is. It has some MATLAB in there. This always scares people to death because they think I'm going to, like I'll say, do you remember in 112 when you did X functions? And then no one will raise their hand because they don't think I want me to call on them. Don't worry, I won't. I know that it was fuzzy the first time around. That's what we're here to take care of. How do you spell it? It's all capital letters, in case you want to know. It stands for Matrix Laboratory because it was originally designed about a gazillion years ago to work with matrices. And by matrix, I mean something I'll talk about very soon. It was really designed to do linear algebra very quickly. Since then, it has evolved into something much, much, much more useful for many more people than those just trying to invert matrices. Okay? Questions so far? This is the end of the introduction, and so now I try and teach you something. Every time we get together on Thursday, or no, today's Monday, on Monday and Wednesday afternoons, I wish it was Thursday afternoon, try to have one main concept, okay? And that kind of thing is, if you walked out of class today and you called your grandma, and your grandma said, well, what one thing did you learn about in MATLAB today? Because, you know, like you and your grandma talk about taking college classes and stuff. The thing you would say is that, Grandma, in MATLAB, everything is a matrix. All my data, everything I do, is organized into what's known as a matrix. And she says, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about that. That's interesting. And you say, I'd love to. You would tell her an array is just a collection of data that's organized into rows and columns. That is its most abstract way of organizing, in 2 dimensions, in rows and columns. And of course, you could go further than that. You can actually have 3-dimensional sets of data and really cool things like that, which maybe we want to do or maybe not. But in any case, it's always an array or a matrix. Now, so I would use those terms basically synonymously in the course. A matrix is an array is a matrix. What is an array? An array is a collection of data organized into rows, columns, perhaps higher dimensions. For us, really, you know, we're not really thinking about 11 dimensions for now, so, you know, 2 is fine. So data, here's a 2 by 2 matrix. There is another kind of matrix, but it looks like it is less than 2 by 2. And you're absolutely right. It might just be a column. In this case, we have 1 column and 3 rows. Not only that, the data is not necessarily real numbers. Maybe it's imaginary numbers. That's okay. Not for our class. We won't really put any imaginary numbers in the matrix for now. But you should know that you could. It could be an array of logical values, which are true or false. It could be dogs and cats. It could be anything, okay? The point is that it is organized. It is organized into something called a matrix. So that's the first thing you want to know, is organized into a matrix. If we break that down a little bit, what do we need to know about that? We need to know the matrix's size, okay? So in this case, and probably you know well enough from 112, that first thing is a 2 by 2 matrix, 2 rows, 2 columns. The next thing is a 3 by 1 matrix. It's got complex values in it, but that's okay. The next thing is a 4 rows by 2, so 4 by 2 matrix. And then we've got a 2 by 2 matrix of animals. Okay, questions on that? And now I've told you the secret for today. It's not even 4:15. 15 minutes doesn't mean we're done. Stop zipping up your backpacks. But I've told you all the secrets there really are for today. Okay? So far, so good? Your MATLAB environment may look a little different, but in your notes that are on Blackboard, not ever going to be able to say Canvas, that are on Canvas, you will see little pictures which correspond to these things. So when you open up MATLAB, will it always look like this? No. You might have a different arrangement. That's fine. You can actually change it if you like. But there will always be somewhere a command window, because that's where everything happens. It's very nice to have the command history window, The workspace is really, really important. Another couple of words about that in a second. Current path on the top. There's a browser to the left, which you can double click on just like anything else. And you have all kinds of fun. Now, that workspace in the upper right, if I zoom in on that, what we see is that it's holding any variable that is currently defined within the MATLAB workspace. We want to know about that. I don't know how much this was impressed upon you in 112, but in 212, the two things we really want to know, actually just the one thing we really want to know, is what that matrix's size is. Because everything we do in MATLAB will be a matrix, and that matrix has a size. If that heading, that column is not in your MATLAB workspace, you can just go up and right-click on it and add it and all kinds of other information. Important for us to do that. Soon I'm going to ask you the sizes of certain matrices and so forth. And I mean, it couldn't get any easier for today, right? How many people are saying to themselves, this is okay. I know everything he's talking about so far. I had it in 112. That's excellent. Good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for raising your hand when I indicated that you should. If there's someone here thinking, I don't know any of this stuff, it's all right. We got you covered. We're going to get you covered. Okay? So far, so good? Questions? You can make graphs. I bet you did this in 112. Did you do quadratic fits in 112? Yeah. See, it's already something we'll mess with. I don't know if that's true. There is the editor debugger. How many of you wrote something in the editor debugger and then tried to run it and just got a nasty beep and annoying red text? Okay, yeah, and me too. Me too. Okay? This may be the reason you hate MATLAB the most. We want you to be your friend by the time 5 weeks are over. This should be your textbook. This is your textbook. That's what I meant to say. This is your textbook, the help window. If at any time in MATLAB you type DOC for documentation and hit return, it brings up the help window and it shows you anything you want to know about any of the commands. Fantastic. I always have it running when I'm running MATLAB, which I often am. You know I like to run MATLAB on Thursdays afternoons just for fun, right before you go out. We do it all the time here too. In fact, sometimes we bring MATLAB to the restaurant or wherever we're going after school and just do MATLAB. It's kind of fun. If you take a picture of yourself doing that, I don't think I mentioned this. It's probably not on the sheet. Should be. Take a picture of yourself doing MATLAB. It's your favorite eating, drinking establishment. Send it to me. That's extra credit. You think I'm kidding? I've had many bartenders posing with MATLAB. I think it's great. On your MATLAB window, you will notice that there's all kinds of extra things. Like, MATLAB used to be a lot better, by the way, for those of you who hate it. Yeah, I mean, those of you who want to beat it without mercy, you should know that it used to be much simpler. It was like a real simple interface, and there wasn't all this stuff. You know, now it's trying to be all iPhone. It's got the apps. I mean, come on. MATLAB's not that cool to have apps, but it's got an apps thing. Ignore this apps. Ignore this plots. ignore all this stuff. Everything we need to do in this class can be done in that central workspace area. Just this thing. You don't, and it's nice to have this, and we definitely want to look at this, but everything we do will be here. You don't have to click on apps. I mean, what kind of app are you going to download for MATLAB? If you like to do that, I'm sorry, it's like I just insulted you, but it's okay. It's all right. Where does everything exist? I don't want to bore you to death with this slide. The important thing, as you may have learned from 112, is if you want to run something, a function, it needs to be, you need to be in that path. If that means, if you have no idea what I just said, I will cover you a little bit. Okay, I wonder if this works. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop here. Can't hear it.
We want to know what it is.
Obviously.
The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church.
Who's anybody seen that movie? Okay, so that's a different matrix, but it's a very good one. You should learn about that one too. But in MATLAB, we have a, so when I say matrix, I'm thinking a different thing, not that matrix. I told you before, some of you may remember about 10 minutes ago, maybe 15 minutes ago, I said everything is a matrix. Anybody remember that? I won't call on you. Yeah, okay, so some people remember that. I'll say it again. Everything is a matrix, and that's the most important thing for today, the whole data organization thing. But sometimes we have things organized in more specific names, okay? So if I just have a single number, x equals 3 or something like that, that 3, that's just a scalar. But in MATLAB, that's true, it's just a scalar. Is it also a matrix? Yes. Yes, it is a 1-by-1 matrix. Let's do some MATLAB. I'm going to make this slightly bigger so you can see it. Right now, the font says it is 018. Let's kick that up and see what that looks like. Okay, if you can't see that, let me know. I can make it even bigger. First, some very, very simple stuff just to get us all back on the same page after break. If I define here again, I'm defining a variable to a single number. If I put a what's the difference between if I put a semicolon on it or after, or not? Anyone know? Say? Sorry?
Does it like mute it?
Yes. Yes, exactly. It won't spit it back at you. It will mute it. So if I don't put that there, it tells you what you just typed in, just in case you don't remember what you did 2 seconds ago. That's very helpful. That's nice. If I do put a semicolon there, it mutes it, and great. Now, the very important thing, it is time to ask you a question which is really important. I cannot quite classify it as worth genius points yet, okay? But still very important. Ready? What would we call circle radius? And I'm really deaf. What will we call it? Circle radius is a what in MATLAB? Variable, yes, but even more important, matrix. Matrix, yes. Everything is a matrix. Not the matrix, but it is a matrix. Okay? It's a special kind of matrix. We have a special name for this one. What is it? Scalar. If you're wondering, is class going to get any harder than this? I think I can handle this. You're right. No, it's not. It's not going to get any harder than this. It's fine. Look, you know what I can do, circle radius. You can do the little tab, you type tab. It knows what you might want to type. That's really nice, because I always am trying to save keystrokes. And so look at this. What did I just do? A calculation. It's a calculator. MATLAB is an engineering calculator. So I can go to Barrymore's or I can't remember the name of the place, and take MATLAB, and I can calculate areas of circles. You know, how you like to do on Thursday nights. Notice that circle area, as soon as I assigned it, it came up into the workspace as well, and it is also a matrix, and it is also a scalar, only because it is 1 by 1. Okay, you get the points. Everything is a matrix array. You know, from now on, that's going to be an easy question. What would I call this in MATLAB? Answer, matrix. Correct. We usually write them with square brackets, especially in MATLAB, so we know what we're talking about. A 3 by 4 matrix with 12 elements. A 1 by 4 matrix with 4 elements. Now we've got 2 more special names, okay? And these are for matrices where one of the dimensions is 1, but not both. If both dimensions are 1, it is a scalar. If one of the dimensions is 1, it is either a row vector, like this, single row, or a column vector, single column. And then again, the 1 by 1 is just a scalar. Questions so far? You're saying this is the best, this really is the best class yet. We're just talking about numbers and, you know, fantastic. All right. Let us look at matrix assignment statements, that is, entering in a matrix. This is just making sure we're all on the same page. If you need to enter in a matrix and it has more than one row, how do you tell MATLAB that you're ready for a new row? Like if I'm here, what do I type in? Anyone remember? To break right where I'm at and to start a new row, tell MATLAB I'm ready for a new row would be a semicolon. Okay, so 1, 3, 4, 7, just random numbers here. Not really, I'm looking at what I have on my notes, so I guess it's not really random. So I've enclosed it in square brackets and I put semicolons in between rows. Okay, so at this point, you know, I'm ready to hit return. If I'm not, and I never am, if I'm not quite sure I entered in that right, I actually don't leave the semicolon. You know, I let MATLAB spit it back out at me so I can see, yes, that is what I like how you put it all pretty there with clear, 3 rows and 4 columns. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm good. I do that a lot. Okay. Let's just see how far we are and how much we have to do today. We're almost done. This is that kind of class where it's just awesome, right? It's not quite like hand out the syllabus and you can go. How many people have had a class where the first day they just handed out the syllabus and they told you to go? Lazy. Lazy professor. Not happy. Didn't give you your money's worth. How did they tell you how they're going to refund your money for all that missed time? Yeah, you didn't care. I know. Don't pretend like you cared. I know you didn't care. If I wanted to enter in then a row vector, no. Oh, gee. It's okay. If I just, you know, I'm okay with the red text every now and then. How about my column vector? Because a column vector has just one column, but it can have several rows. So I still have to think about, I've got to separate those rows. How do I separate rows? Semicolon. Okay, so let's say I want to put in some crazy 10, 9, 8. If I just do that, I've created a column vector. I've got 10, then a new row 9, then a new row 8. So it is a 3 by 1 column vector. I'm not so sure about that. I'm going to leave it alone, not put the semicolon there, and just make sure. Yes. OK, great. Did my column vector show up in the workspace? It did. And it says 3 by 1. OK, I'm very happy. I want my mind to match. When I'm typing stuff in as matrices and I'm thinking about their size and I want to check it up in the workspace, everything is good, harmony. Excellent, we can go on. Okay, do you know about the colon operator? I want to enter in all the numbers from 1 to 99 in one long row vector. So one way to do it is like this, right? You know, and ad infinitum. What's another way to do it? I use the colon operator, which is 1 to 99, something like that. Now in this case, maybe I won't spit it back out at me. I will put the thing. Colon operator means take steps of. If I go up into the workspace and I look at G, sure enough, it's a 1 by 99. It's a matrix. It is a row vector. You can also do things like different steps. Okay, that's kind of nice. You know, for when you want to generate numbers in 0.1 increments. You can go backwards. Should I hit return? Are you in suspense? Ooh! Oh, it's empty. That's not so good. Anybody know what I did? It's not really what I wanted to do. I just acted like I did that on purpose. I didn't. You can't go backwards from -5 to a positive number. That would be a little strange. So actually what I meant to do is that, and then now I'm still got an empty matrix. Because you can't go backwards from -5 to -3 either. So what do we want to do? We want to go backwards from -3.1. You know, maybe I just want to go something like this, from 5 to 3. That works. Wonderful. You don't necessarily even have numbers in there. Gee, many whiskers, I can't type. Okay, so this is a valid thing. I mean, a valid thing to do. You know, you want to type your name into MATLAB, you can. The result of this, whatever it is, even though there's characters in there, when I hit return, what will my name be? A matrix. It will be a matrix. And if I go up into the workspace and I see, yep, it sure is, my name is a matrix. What's its size? 1 by 13, so it's some long row vector. Great. The only thing that's different is its class. Class is just a fancy name for now of saying what kind of information is in that matrix. But it is a matrix. It's definitely a matrix. Okay, questions there? Finally, something we can do, kind of fun. I don't have to, if I just put commas in there, MATLAB just says new number. So I wouldn't have to put those in there. I can. This is the same as 1, 3, 5. I know one of the very aggravating things about MATLAB is if both of them being correct is almost bad, because now you've got to remember several things that work. I know. That's the way it is. Let's take 2 vectors. And each of these vectors has a special name. And they actually have 2 special names. What are the special names of A and B? One is they're both matrices. For the love of Pete, everything is a matrix. And what is the second? They're row vectors. They're both row vectors, okay? There are 2 ways to combine them. I could say, why don't I do a new one? My new matrix equals A semicolon. No, let's not do that one first. Can I do something like this? Yes. The whole thing about the whole data organization thing, which is the main thing of this particular lecture, right? The whole thing about data organization is we want to be thinking of that shape in our heads, shape of that matrix, to tell if we can do things like this. If I have A and the new numbers B, what does that do? It just runs them together. Okay, so if I look, now it is a 1 by 6. It did the elements of A followed by the elements of B. That's great. So my new matrix is a matrix, and it itself is a row vector. I could also do this, though. If I do semicolon, what's the only difference? Whenever I have semicolon in some sort of assignment, it goes to a new row. So can I do this? The answer is yes, but not always necessarily. What do I mean by that? Well, A is the same size as B. So it would make sense to have an A and it would fit, or B would fit under the A. That's all good. It fits shape, data organization, matrices, harmony, all is well. And that is still the 2 matrices together, except now it's in a different organization. Same numbers, different organization. Organization is everything in MATLAB. Okay? This is no longer a row vector. It is still a matrix. It is a 2 by 3. What else can we say about it? We're naming and classifying it. Great numbers to muse on a Thursday. Why? I keep wanting it to be Thursday. On a Monday afternoon. All right, groovy. Questions on that? We have a special name for this. And you have to remember, in engineering, what we need to do is take very, very simple concepts and give them much more complicated names than the concept is. Why? Job security, right? You wouldn't want to tell grandma today that you put 3 numbers over 3 other numbers. No, especially now she's paying your tuition. I mean, right? We want to keep all this a big. Leon, is this thing recording? May have blank it out for a second, but so we don't want to say put numbers together with other numbers. We want to say concatenate. Okay, that's the fancy word that we want to use. Both of those, putting the numbers together this way, putting the numbers together this way, same numbers. They're both examples of concatenation. That's what you want. Look at some loser. Put units. Okay, freshmen. Yeah, much better. Pwned units. Owned them like a boss. Okay, concatenation. That's what you want to tell grandma when you're calling her today. I concatenated a few things today. Ooh. Wow. Okay. That's what we did just now. 70. Special name of the matrices. Look at this. I was just following along with the slides. You already knew this. There's a handout on your thing with other kind of basic MATLAB-y operations. Kind of tells you more about using it as a calculator. The scalar and the vector array, which is really quick. We need to talk about that for a second. We can always add together groups of numbers, yes? If we have two numbers that we want, or two matrices that we want to add together, they need to be the same size. Those are both 3 by 1 row vectors, right? So they're easily enough added. You may remember from 112, I don't know, did you guys do dot multiply in 112? Anything like that? Okay. If you forgot, if I want to multiply these two vectors together, if you're in linear algebra, if this was a linear algebra class, you could not do it because the inner dimensions need to be the same. If you don't have any idea what I was just talking about, you don't need to worry because it's not linear algebra class. We will always, if we do operations with two matrices, be not doing matrix multiplication, say, but element by element multiplication, and that is where you put in the A dot multiply B. Okay. That does element by element and gives you a result which is also a 3 by 1 vector. Okay. Who's heard of matrix multiplication? You're going to say, is he going to call him? I'm not going to call on you. Who's heard of matrix multiplication? Okay, a few people. You may remember if you have zero idea what matrix multiplication is, that would be where you've got squiggles and squiggles, and instead of these being multiplied element by element, you have dot products of that row, that column, that row, that column, that row, that column, and so on. So it's much, much different. You'll get to try it out in your first assignment. Okay, questions? You have an assignment that is due next time. It's so easy. Well, I shouldn't say that. What if somebody gets a 0 on it? It's meant to be easier. If you have problems with it, you need to tell me or the TAs very soon so that we can get you on the right track. And Wednesday, what could happen Wednesday when you walk into class? A quiz? Another assignment? Who knows? We'll definitely be making plans about where we're going to take MATLAB with us to eat and all that kind of stuff. Okay. We're even done a few minutes early, but you're welcome to hang around and ask questions. If not, I will see you Wednesday.